So now, Mauricio, before I know you're going to be leaving soon, and you're there in the beautiful, warm, hot weather, and you're going to the beach. Baruch Hashem, it's so wonderful.
Uh,
But it was,
Thank you.
it, yeah, it's always um, a little bit of a hard time for me when I look at it's almost like a sweet bitterness because we know that in 1 month our rabbi would be gone. And to me, he looked tired, but his message was very powerful, very strong. Did you have any thoughts before you leave us today to go to the beach?
Yes, well, it seems that we were commenting with Janet that the rabbi probably knew what's going on in the future days because he was describing exactly what happened on October 7th.
I was thinking
Um,
the same thing.
yeah, and also it came to my mind also that was very close to his end. And it's interesting that he was not talking about some religion, some speech about exactly morality. It's about life. It's about daily life. It's about practicing Torah. In how he explained, the all the points regarding about is not about the free will we have is about the that we need to take responsibility about our decisions.
Mhm.
So it was very powerful message and is until today is update because we can we might think that in those days I've been thinking about this idea. Um, it says I don't know if it was Peter uh, in the letter of Peter in the wrong called New Testament that he said the word of God is everlasting, is forever. It's immutable. It cannot change. And it seems that is true because what the rabbis, the very same principles that he was explaining today, uh, are for today also. And probably in 100 years, people can hear it, and the message will be uh, updated to what happening because the principles that he taught were very, very specials. Um, and by the way, also, when we were reading the Haftarah, it came to my mind something that God sometimes entitle us in some way that is not a long-term name because it says, "Wake up, O barren." Okay, that is describing present. Okay, you are barren, and then add that condition of be barren is not forever. It says that yet not have children. So um and the problem is that sometimes people is calling us in some ways and we assume that is a name uh, forever, okay, but God is just looking at us and he's just saying to us, hey, this is your current condition, but in the future you will have and you will bear children. Okay. And that is something important because be barren is a person that is that doesn't have fruits on them. Sometimes we would like to have fruits economically. We need to have fruits, for example, with kids. Sometimes we might desire to have fruits on behavior, character, family, relationships. Um, and we look at us, and probably we are barren at this moment on those areas. But God, He sees us just the ones who yet doesn't have fruits. Okay. But we have the potential.
Right.
We have the inside of us, we have the fruit. It's only that we need to wait the right time to bear the fruit.
We have the
And
seed. We have the
yes,
seed in us.
yes. And yes, because everybody when is born has the potential to be fruitful.
Right.
And but the problem is that we look at our conditions and we see our times, okay, and we desperate and and we want to run and and we want that, for example, that today instant world be fruitful as today. For example, you want to do you know, for example, how long takes a person to close a sale? Okay, for example, if I'm selling sugar, okay, is what I know. We we close our trades with different companies in negotiation of 1 year. And for example, if I'm selling the next crop, right now I'm negotiating that crop, and the person needs to wait the crop in order to get the product.
Right.
Okay. But for me, this sale of this time, I started 1 year ago.
Of course.
So all the cycle is 2 years to close sugar business, uh, you know, agreement. And people may think, oh, it takes too much. I just want to go like the supermarket, go and take in the at the aisle, take the sugar and take it to my home. And that
Right.
is not how it works.
Right.
So that is the instant world, okay? But but it needs to have process, as well as the cakes. If you take out from the oven a cake and doesn't give the right time, the flavor is not good. So for me, sometimes we need to ask more to the Lord. Oh Lord, give me patience, give me the heart to wait.
Right.
And probably that's why the Isaiah says, we will wait on you, Lord.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because to wait on him is
Yeah.
to cover under his time.
Right.
And that is very, very, very hard.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And that's how we learn to trust him.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say, but it's very hard to do it.
Especially for us who are very
Yes.
hyper and like to get things done. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to change this, for example, uh, in my case, oh, I want to learn how to rest, for example. And and it's very hard for me until God sent me probably a disease or something like that,
Yeah.
and I need to stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so but that is a hope message. Wait on the Lord.
Yes. I
Eh,
want to show you something before you leave. Let me see if I can find it. It was sorry, hold on a second. Let me see if I put it here. I took a screenshot of something and I said, this is a perfect picture. Yeah, here. Let me open it up. Um, Let me see if you can see it. Share. Sorry. Here. I know it's very small. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
Oh,
It says agricultural terror. Arabs scattered poisoned dates in grazing territory used by an Israeli homestead in the Binyamin region, causing severe symptoms in the homestead's flock of sheep. The shepherds noticed the symptoms and rushed to save the sheep. And oh, why can't I see it better? Let me zoom in. Hang on. I can't even see myself. Zoom in. Here. Rush to save the sheep, including giving them antidotes and calling emergency veterinary care.
wow.
Imagine that type of hatred that you're killing the animals. You know, when they took over, when Sharon gave Gaza back to the Arabs, and we left that whole area, they burnt everything. They didn't use any of the farmland that was grazed. They burnt the trees. Imagine they send fire bombs into Israel, burning trees. They're killing animals. How is that? What is that doing for anybody? It's not helping their own people. It's only about hatred and violence and killing. And here the Torah teaches us to protect
The
I
animals.
to protect the animals. I remember when I was young, we used to go up to the country, and my cousins had BB guns, and they would take the guns and shoot frogs. And we had a frog pond. I used to love to sit by the frog pond and listen to the big bullfrogs, make those noises. And they went and they killed every one of the frogs in the pond. It absolutely broke my heart. But if I look at the lives of my cousins, they had some tragedy in their lives. And even in my own life, I was not protected in my divorce by the family who could have done so much more. And they suffered for it. It's not that I'm blaming them because I didn't know any better. But when we don't follow the principles of the Torah, there really are consequences. And that's why it's like it's a time, especially now before the high holidays coming up, that really we search ourselves. And I've been doing a balance, like Rabbi said, balance, looking at my life this year. Am I better than last year? And I can honestly say yes. And I'm so grateful because each year we talk about it, Miriam and I. Rabbi always talks about taking 2 steps forward, but only 1 step back. It's like a spiral going up, and we're better this year than we were last year. But every year the challenges are coming greater and greater. And we see it in our kids. With me, I see it in my grandchildren because they're so affected by the world around them, by the immorality that's become part of the natural order of things. And we have to be willing and able to say the truth. And we've lost friends because of it, for speaking out, speaking truth. And, you know, it's and understanding about a brit, a covenant. Like when we get married, a covenant is 2 ways. Male and female are making a covenant together. But when we make a covenant with God, it's him and us. And when we break the covenant, we suffer the consequences. So we're in a time, what I see with our kids also, it's a time of entitlement. You know, you gave birth to me, you have to take care of me. I deserve it. And that's hard to teach. I still find it difficult, sometimes asking my kids to do something. It's not easy. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe because I want to be accepted. I want to be loved. I've lost this idea that a parent is a parent, not a friend. We have to be able to say things to our kids for their good, no matter how they look at us. And that's not an easy thing to do. And what else did he say? The protection of the woman, the protection of the animals, the protection of the soil. We are the ones who were the first environmentalists. You know, we didn't start yesterday. It started 4,000 years ago. So, Miriam, was there something you wanted to say from what you heard Rabbi
Uh,
say?
well, to add to all that, not necessarily, yeah. Well, some of just generally the principle of life, we're such the Torah is about life, but when we don't understand the context, it doesn't look like that all the time. But I was even thinking, like, the mass murderers, the famous ones, like Bundy and Gundy and what Bundy, whatever.
Yeah,
A lot of these famous mass murderers, the very most common thing is that they didn't start out with people, they started out with animals,
right,
skinning cats and killing
right.
dogs and it's really true that when you see that kind of behavior in a child, it's really like, pulling wings off a bug and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
has
when I
to be
was a kid, I
stopped.
saw that a lot, and
Yeah.
it's really got to be like really looked at and stopped. But I mean, the context of these things, if we don't see the principles behind them, even the part where the young man is disobedient in this passage, and they take him to the village or the center and they stone him. That's such a hard thing to understand. But I think the principle of that, because they were surrounded with all sorts of things where children were being sacrificed to Moloch and all that sort of stuff, that this is in that context. And if you don't stop that, Israel was to be a light to the world. And if you don't stop that, whether or not, I mean, we can't take that now and take somebody into the center of the village and whatever, but the principle is about life, the moral code about living, whether it's abortion, whatever, and that's really important. What I want to say, just one thing. Well, it's just amazing that the treatment, people often who will criticize the Torah, in my experience, interacting with people, they talk about, well, look how women are treated. And yes, but with Rabbi Prusu, it made sure to say that you have to look at the context. Look, can you imagine anyone, even wars now, you look at the horrible things happen, taking a female, a woman as captive and bringing it to your house, allowing her to mourn the death of her family. I mean, it's revolutionary. It's
It is.
unheard of,
Yeah.
and it's if you look at that context, you have to understand it. Anyway, that's really important to look at
I-
the principles.
exactly. I don't think people realize the level of violence that was done. It wasn't simply raping women on October the 7th. The level of violence that was done to these young women when I heard some of these stories, I was like shuddering. It was
Yeah, it's
just
horrific.
the worst kind of evil.
It was dismemberment. It was more than rape.
It,
It was horrific. It was
it,
beyond
I
horrifying.
know. And so when people stand up for that, they don't know what they're talking about.
No, they don't.
No
They
idea.
honestly don't.
God
Or
is,
they don't believe it's the truth, even though
yeah,
they put out videos. Hamas
yeah,
put out videos immediately in the like do while they're doing all this stuff.
yeah.
Now, if you don't believe that, you don't believe that, but that's what happened.
Yeah. And we need to learn how to reverse these things in our own lives and those around us. The most important thing is to teach young people to be responsible. When they leave home, and they're finally free. Oh, now I can do anything. I understood that. When I was free from my marriage, that was a devastation for me. I was totally irresponsible in what I did because thinking that with freedom I could do anything, and that's not what freedom is about. And it took me years to
Although
understand that.
with just to I think the important thing there is without God, you were doing what anyone else would do. But when
Yes,
you have God, to me, that's the important thing is is if you have God in your life, how could you act like that? But you were
Exactly.
doing what a typical person, wow, now I can go out and experience the world. But
Exactly.
you wouldn't do that now, so that's the difference.
No, thank God for that. Thank God for his Torah, and thank God that as we grow and we age back, we're aging backwards. We're
Benjamin Button.
we've stepped into eternity, and things are just getting better and better for those who choose to walk and to obey God.
And
Anyway,
just, yeah, I
yeah.
want just one last, Mauricio, what you said about patience, sometimes,
Mhm.
like I know myself, that certain things, I watch these blogs a lot about people have been very transformed. Usually it's Christians, but they love God. And I see some of the transformations and dramatic ones, and everyone has their own pace, but I get impatient. Like, why don't I have those experiences?
But you do.
No, but I know I
Yeah.
do, and I have to look at, like you say, compare yourself to your own growth and to what has happened. And
Yeah.
that's important, to be patient and to be just look at your own life and see how you've gone up the spiral.
Exactly. And that's the secret of shalom. That's what shalom is.
Yeah.
Just waiting, just patience and waiting and quiet and knowing that it's coming. And the older we get, the easier that it gets. And that's the exciting thing. Um, and learning how to really love our neighbor as ourselves, no matter who they are, the delivery man, the person that waiting at a bus stop, just spreading kindness and but we can't give it until we have it inside,
And
until
that's
we accept
That's another
ourselves.
thing about patience. We have to, even with ourselves, be patient. Sometimes,
Yeah.
well, I'm very hard on myself, and I have to just step back and
Yeah, and you're less hard than you used to be.
yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Me too. So it really is a lifelong process, right to the very time that we take our last breath. And if we understand that, then the pressure comes off of us, and we can allow him to change us and to see, because sometimes I feel I can't believe I'm acting like this again, or I'm feeling like this again. I thought that was over. I thought I was healed of it. But it's like we're like a layer of onions. An onion has all these different layers, and God allows us to come back to the same situation to show us, oh, well, I handled that a little
I
better than
think
last
it's
time.
more, yeah, it's more how you recover than that you did it again. For me, the experience is how do you
Yeah.
recover? Like I just lost a lot of money and a lot of important keys, and yeah, it really bothers me. But there's a time when I would be angry and upset, and
Yeah.
my reaction, how I recover from that is
Yes.
is really what's more important almost than the incident. And
Yes.
yeah.
And the things that we tell ourselves, not to believe lies about ourselves that we were raised on, things that, you know, uh, I had all my kids over for supper last night. Normally, I would have been a wreck because I'm not like the Alejandros. They are phenomenal entertainers. I live alone. My time is alone. I do things on my own. But I watched how different it was. And I think the night before, it was really funny. I couldn't fall asleep. I was up till 4:30 in the morning. I was up at 3:30 setting my table, because I just couldn't sleep. And it was my own fault because I had 2 cups of coffee, one after another, going out with my daughter, so, but just being so tired helped me to be more relaxed. I wasn't as pressured because I didn't have the energy for it. So even that turned out well. So good.
But also to look at the things that you're good at. I mean, yes, the Alejandros, it's beautiful what kind of the love and the hosting they do, but it's also you're not going to be that even at your best.
That's
I
true.
don't mean that as a bad
No,
thing.
no, we can't compare ourselves
You
with
just
others.
can't because that's
Yeah.
not your nature.
But the
But
funny thing was, sorry for interrupting, because I remember, I don't want to forget, I used to feel bad that I'm such a terrible mother. And the rabbi would say to me, Don't worry, you're never going to win the Mother of the Year award. And I was laughing hysterically because we try to compare ourselves with how others are instead of comparing
Well,
ourselves
look at
how we were.
not only that, and look at what that may not listen, you gave a wonderful meal, I'm sure, and everything went better, and that's important.
Yeah.
But let's say something spontaneous happened. You would
Yes.
be able, that's where you're gifted.
Yeah. Very.
You would
Yeah.
you know, you would go if you were like the joke we always said, if you were stranded on an island, you would even be organizing the crabs. You would have a service for the lobsters and the crabs.
It's so funny. Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say something. I can't remember. That's why I interrupt because it's gone in a second.
I know.
But it was a good idea. It was a good thought.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you, Mauricio. So good to see you.
Thank you. And have a wonderful Shabbat and the rest of the week. Okay. Shavua Tov to all of
Shabbat
you.
Tov. God bless you and enjoy the ocean.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. We're
All
gonna
right.
go later. Okay.
Good. Shabbat
Bye.
Shalom.
shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.